This is the Apostle Paul as he speaks. I need to apologize to the technical ministries team. I did not remember to give to Adrian and the others the scripture. But this is how it reads. The guys have got it on the monitor. Not that I speak in respect of one, it speaks about being personal. I have learned. Notice that I have learned in whatsoever state, and this is to me a very profound statement. For I have learned in whatsoever state I am. I hear what Paul says. I know both. I have lived in both worlds. I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. And in all things, I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and suffer need. So the Apostle Paul is suggesting to us that in whatsoever situation he has found himself, to be contented. Technology is a very strange thing. And all the notes I would have written, the word abase speaks of being reduced, brought down. You understand? Abase means to be reduced. You can be reduced from the rank that you was once have held. You can be reduced from you have held, or even in reputation. In other words, when you are abased, it means that you have got to step down. You've been brought down. The word abound means to be rich, to be well supplied. So he's saying, I know how it means to be brought down, and I know what it means to be lifted up. I know both worlds. You see, the apostle in his speech to the people at Philippi, he seeks to inform them that there is victory over anxiety. Victory over anxiety. The word anxiety really means, and at some point in time we become anxious. There are persons who suffer sometimes from what is called an anxiety attack. So the word anxiety, it is really an emotion characterized by an unpleasant state of inner torment. And that inner torment is accompanied by a nervous behavior. So if you are anxious, you experience an inner torment. And in addition to that inner torment, you experience a nervous behavior. Where is the pastor going with this kind of clinical, psychological jargon? I'm going to get to it just now. But I want you to understand what anxiety can do to you. And sometimes as Christians, we get the concept that because we are Christians, we don't experience anxiety because we are too blessed. So I want to very clearly and methodically help to shape your thinking. Now, Paul is explaining to the church at Philippi that regardless to what they were going through, you can have victory over your present situation. Paul understood what it meant to be humble, and this is a word in our vocabulary that we no longer pay attention to. Paul understood what it meant to have been humble. He understood what it meant to have been treated with indignity. That means to be abased. Paul understood what it meant to be treated with contempt. He understood what it meant to be trampled upon by men and to suffer hardship. Paul understood what it meant to have undergone distress. Paul understood what it meant to have been brought to a low condition. He understood what it meant to work with his own hands. Paul understood what it meant to minister to others. He understood what it meant to be hungry. He understood what it meant to be thirsty. He understood what it meant to be cold. He understood what it meant to be naked. And not only naked and cold, but having no place to call a dwelling place. He understood both sides of the fence. He knew how it meant to express a state of depression. He knew what it meant to be cast down. But even though Paul understood, even as such, don't fret, don't repine. Don't murmur, don't complain. He also knew how to abound and how to excel. And he understood what it meant to have been esteemed by others. He understood every part of being abased. He understood what it meant to be abound. He understood how to behave himself in plenty so as not to be lifted up, to be proud and haughty. We are going through some very challenging times as Barbadians. And this is not political, it's a fact. Fact. And as Christians, sometimes we want to blame God for a lot of things. And one of the things about life as individuals that we do not embrace is the word change. And when I say change, I'll explain to you what I'm talking about. Paul understood how to behave himself in the different change of vicissitudes. He came into both, understood what it means to be full and what it means to be hungry. I said to you, one of the things that we as human beings do not easily embrace is change. But whether we embrace change or not, it will happen. The problem is not change, but how we cope with changes in life. The problem is not the circumstances under which we live, but how we adjust the way we live as individuals. Change can bring anxiety. And if we are not careful, it can drive us into depression, which interferes with our minds and our ability. In other words, our cognitive way of thinking is compromised. In other words, to break it down, you don't think straight when you become depressed. You don't think rational. As Christians, or otherwise, because we may not all be Christian, how do I cope with life challenges and still remain sane? Because one of the things, I've realized as a pastor is that we sometimes are so focused on what we call the spiritual things of life, salvation, that we do not remember that persons are social beings and undergo several behavioral changes. They go through various changes in life which impacts their standard of behavior. And so therefore within the church there are persons who are going through various situations in life which impacts their way of thinking and compromises their entire behavioral pattern. And how does the church deal with situations like this? When there are persons who are within the confines of the body, who do not know how to cope with things that are happening to them because of various challenges. How do we cope with this? If I am going through challenges in life, am I still a child of God? And if I'm a child of God, can I be depressed? Can I be depressed? And what causes me to be depressed when the Bible says to us that God is going to supply my every need according to his riches and glory. So why should I be depressed? Why should I go through all of these various situations? And all around me, everybody else seems to be getting through. Everybody else seems to be enjoying life. Everybody else seems to be having a wonderful time. And Lord, poor me. Have you ever experienced that? As a Christian, how do I cope with the challenges in life? The Bible tells us that there's a word called contentment. And contentment is a state of just being contented. It speaks of satisfaction. And when you are contented, when you are satisfied, it takes stress off your mind. The person that is never contented and never satisfied but always have their mind going haywire. Because the more they get, the more they want. And this is one of the major challenges of the human being, because we do not seem to understand that there are changes that will take place in life for the better or for the worse, and based on how I am coping with the situation, it causes my blood pressure, it causes my entire being to either go out of whack, or if I cope well with the circumstances, I am able to understand that life changes. And throughout the length and breadth of Barbados, but even within the Christian circles, there are persons who are losing hope because of various things. But I get the distinct impression, though, that as Christians we need to understand, or as people we need to understand, that when we are contented with what we have got thus far, a contented spirit, a contented person is one of the nicest persons in which you can communicate with. Because those persons understand when I have got a lot, I am going to thank God. And when I don't have a lot, I am still going to thank God. You see, based on your mindset, based on your ability to appreciate, you are going to have to determine how you are going to think, and when you are not right in your thinking, your cognitive way of thinking can become so paralyzed that you experience headaches and migraine headaches and all kinds of headaches, and the doctors will never find a cure for you. You can take Panadols and fences from now until judgment. Until your mind is placed in the right position, you will not get help. You know what the Bible says? I will keep in perfect peace whose mind is stayed. So our minds help to determine how we are going to function in difficult situations. How these things that we're going through are going to impact us physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, everything, based on how we accept things around us and change. I said change because, and I said we need to embrace change simply because everybody is concerned about a lot of things. And I'm of the view, and I said change because of this. Paul said, I knew what it meant to be a base, and I knew how to abound. I believe as Christians or no Christians, when we learn to appreciate and understand that there are things that we have got to appreciate, when we understand that there are some things about life and adjustments that has to be made, if we don't come to that place in our life, we will be always miserable. What do I mean? We know that if you had gone to the supermarket this morning, and this is not political, don't politicize it at all. We know if you've gone to the supermarket this morning, what $100 could have bought 10 years ago cannot buy anymore. Agree? It simply means there are some who will live here, some who will live here, and some who will live here. The problem is, where are you living? There are times when a lot of us would have been able to go into the store and we could have bought a lot of whatever it is. Times have changed. But the problem with us as human beings is this: that we still want to live at the same level that we were living at 25 years ago. The reality is this: when we understand the situations of life, there are situations that you find yourself in and some situations that were brought upon you. And regardless to what the situation may be, you tell yourself, the only thing I have got in the cupboard at home is sugar and lime, and I'll find water. So God, I cannot today, Sunday, go home and drink orange juice and malt. For today, I may have to drink lemonade. The problem with us as human beings is this: if I cannot drink orange juice every day, I am mad. I'm going to say, God, why you has called me to be drinking lemonade and others are drinking orange juice? We have not learned to adjust our behavior. Listen, and this is one of the problems that brings us into anxiety and depression. And I want to say this to us because I believe the church also has to understand this. There are times when we find it difficult to pay water, the utilities, but yet still we go around Bristol and buy expensive cellular phones and say that we are depressed. We find it difficult to find a bus fare, but we will go around town and look for the most expensive suit. You know why? When I move out, I must look. You know who I am? We must change. I've always been of the view that if you came by my house and I have got only one chair in my house and you can't be happy with where I am, don't come. You see, I understand what it means to have a lot of furniture, and I understand what it means that the house may look like a dancing house, but that's all right with me. Because the time will come again when it will look like a real house. But until such time, I am going to understand what it means to be here. I understand what it means to be down here. And that's what that the change I'm talking about. The change I'm referring to is that we need to understand how to live here and how to live here. I've had the opportunity of speaking with a lot of business people. And I can call a name. I have had conversations with my relative every single call. And I know what he said to me. He said to me, Samuel, listen. You know, people will see you going along, but they do not understand what is happening. He said, look, sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning, I have got to get up and begin to ask myself, where am I going to get the money from to pay these bills? Where am I going to get the money from to pay the suppliers? Where am I going to get the money from when the goods come to the port? I've got to pay all the staff. I've got to pay all these things. Where am I going to get this money from? So sometimes it appears to us as though there are persons who are living on cloud 9 until you talk with them. And then you will understand those persons, even though it looks that way, they have got struggles in life, and they understand what it means to be up here, and they understand what it means to be down here. But in all of those situations, there's a word called contentment. Contentment. I understand what it means to live in both worlds, and I have never been ashamed to say to you at Ruby or anywhere where I came from. And that's another issue. Sometimes there are those of us who don't want anybody to know where we came from. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, neither am I ashamed as to where I came from and where I am now. Because of where I came from, thank God, I'm where I am. When I was thinking about this morning, I was laying in my bed, and I said to myself, you know something? I remember there were times when my mother cooked something called stewed potato. A lot of you don't know about that. And even if you know about it, you don't shame to talk about it. But let me tell you this. There was a time when my mother would have taken the potato, it was not peeled. It was put in the saucepan with the same skin on. When it was cooked, my mother would have, in those days, you would have probably got the fancy term, it's no codfish, but it was salt fish. And your mother would have put that alongside the food, sometimes with gravy, with little we call it, we don't want to call it butter, no, we call it all margarine. A lot of fancy term. You know a fancy term. But I, Samuel Elcock, know what it means to walk through behind a tractor and say that we are sprout the potato. Pull up the potato and eat them. I know those days. I know what it means to have been down, and I know what it means to be up. But thanks be to God, up or down, there was still Jesus. Still Jesus. And the church has to understand that regardless to who we are, regardless to what the situation in life may be, learn to adjust your behavior. If you can't eat solid today, where are you going to sell your face and make yourself look ugly? Everybody going to know you're hungry. We as Christians have to understand this. And God wants us to understand. Paul said, I know how to behave myself. And this is one of the reasons that the church, because we have a mindset that all the cattle on the hill belong to God. We have a mindset that once we call on the name of Jesus, this is going to happen. We have all kinds of strange mindset. And because of that, some of us don't even want to work. But we expect to go down on our knees and pour a few crocodile tears, and God is going to send a man from heaven. Wait for it. Wait for it. And I'll say this to us as well. Everybody will experience hard times at some time. Listen. I remember there was a time in my life, I was a young pastor at the time. I went to preach at a certain church, Nagmin Church. I was coming across Hackett Hall, never forget. I used to drive around the back of my car with a gallon container, always had a gas because the gas needle never worked right. So just in case of emergency, I drove with that. So those persons who I would have gone to preach at the church, some with a nice jacket and tie, a nice car, clean, but they don't know in the back of that car, always had a gas tank with extra gas just in case of emergency. And then that was the Ford Escort. Then they had a Fiat 124. Fiat 124. Little step up. Little step up. You understand? Then and all the time, all the other cars wind up. Wind up. You see, you don't know that. You see, Pastor, I got no, a clean Jeep. So you feel you always had that. I did not always have that. I understood what it meant to drive out with a car that the gas gauge not working right. And thanks be to Jesus, I drive one of the gas gauge right. I understood what it meant to come from here, up there, and back down here. The problem is this. Either we don't want to accept where we came from and who we are, or we want to be somebody else. But we need to understand that if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have much, say, God, I knew when I had much. I know I don't have so much, but still, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's why Paul said, I know how to abase, and I know how to abound. We must, as Christians, live in both worlds. There's the word of depression. And Christians can become depressed. If you feel you can't become depressed, you're wrong. Some symptoms of depression, there are persons who experience what is called intense sadness. There are persons who experience intense sadness, always sad. And that's a serious symptom. When you are always sad, that's a symptom of depression. Not necessarily is, but one of the symptoms, always sad. Your mood is always somber. Never being able to smile, because inside of you is an inner turmoil. And you're always sad because the whole world has caved in on you. When you are experiencing depression, you experience a state of helplessness. You feel you can't help yourself. It's a state of helplessness that you experience. When you're going through depression, it brings you to a state of hopelessness. Hopelessness. When you can experience a state of depression where you will feel as though you are worthless. I am nobody. Nobody cares about me. Nobody loves me, so I'm worthless. And the more these negative things impact you, the more it messes up your mind. When a person is experiencing depression, it is very hard for that person to focus. You cannot focus. Persons who are experiencing depression can reach a stage when you become suicidal. When you are experiencing depression, like I said earlier, your cognitive way of thinking is so compromised that you cannot logically think. And all of this surrounds the whole concept of what Paul's saying. Be content. When you are contented, you can look all around you and everything can look however it feels, but you are contented because you understand. Jesus said, I will never leave you, and I am going to forsake you either. In every situation you find yourself, be contented. Contentment is a state of mind. I have tried to master the art of contentment. I try as much as I possibly can to allow anybody or anything to depress me. You see, there are levels of depression. The kind of depression that dangerous one. But then there's another kind of depression that helps to motivate you, helps to push you along. Those children that are going into the exam on Tuesday will experience anxiety. But that's a positive kind of anxiety. The anxiety because of the environment. But when they are present, of mind. I'm saying to us this morning, I'm saying to us that we must not just talk about church and use biblical jargon, but we must be able to internalize what we say. If we say God is and bad times, God is still for us. I believe that as Christians we need to understand that if we are going to maintain our sanity, we must tell ourselves, I can't get this, I can't get that. I tell them, Pastor Elcock, if I go down Bridgetown and my intention is to buy a black pair of shoes, and I do not see a black pair of shoes, I am not going to buy no shirt. No. But if I carry the shirt, I hang it home and have no shoes. You know what it means? I have to look for fresh money to buy the shoes. So you see me? The money will park until they get the shoes. But let me tell you what most persons do. Because you see, you're not contented. You go down Bridgetown and you see shoes and everybody, you know, such a place have got 2 pairs of shoes, buy one and get 1 pair at half price. No, we sometimes are not rational in our thinking. 1 pair is for $100 and the half price is $50. And so therefore we only think we half price. But we don't recognize it is $150. You don't have money to buy food, but $150 in shoes, and you come at one feeling real smart. 2 pairs of shoes, $150, another biscuit in the cupboard. I know you were, you know something? You know something? I can live with those shoes. I can be left with those shoes. The point I'm making to you is this. We need to be able to understand that there are some things about us that has to be adjusted. We have to adjust our thinking. And sometimes God is trying to get through to us. We need to adjust our ways, our behavior. If we as Christians or people generally are going to survive, if we are going to make sure that our brains are not saddled with unnecessary stress, we must think first. As a little boy growing up, this is what my mother used to do. If we are going to shop, my mother always gave us a list. A list. I know we call it all, you know, cooking oil, no. Same thing. This amount of butter. This amount of onions. And so therefore, my mother worked through everything and put the price. You know what you know what it was called? My mother used to budget. Accountants in church. I'm not an accountant, but the basic common sense. You see, if your disposable income, that's the fancy word, see? In other words, if the money you have in your hand, after all expenses are paid, you check that out. And then you know the reason why we find ourselves in financial difficulty is because we spend more than we have. And then we go and spend a lot of foolish money in credit cards and wonder how it gets so. How it gets so, you spend it. The point I'm making to you about how they're based and how they're bound, how our status quo, we put ourselves in unnecessary debt. And then come and pray out to God and say, God this and God that. How it gets so you put in yourself. So I believe that one of the things that we need to do is learn to budget. Learn how to budget. I know this is not a salvation message when you come to the altar. But you must learn how to take whatever little you get and manage it properly. You see those old people who are going on, who work for shillings? Those old persons gone left a lot of land all over Barbados, out of a little bit. And persons like myself who are earning more than that in here and out here. You know why? Our pattern of expenditure is wrong. We don't understand what it means to budget. Sit down and look at your priorities. Look at your priority, the things that you have to pay that you cannot get out of your hand. Look at them first, and what remains, then you will know, can I afford a new dress or not? Can I afford a new pants or not? Can I afford this or not? We need to prioritize ourselves first. We need to prioritize. If we are going to be contented, we have to live within our means. I've always heard the older people say, never hang your hat too high. And throughout the length and breadth of Barbados, I hear people every day talking about all of these things that are true. But I believe that if we learn how to operate, I believe if we learn how to function, we will be better. One of the issues is this, and I'm not going to call any name, but I think too many persons go to a certain place or places in Bridgetown every day and buy food. I think sometimes I don't do it, so I am one of the first persons, because I'm not a cook, but those of you who can cook well, if you can get up in the morning sometimes and cook your food, you will save a lot of money. I'm just sharing with you how to base and how to abound. I'm just sharing with you how we can cut costs and still live comfortably. When I was much younger, I never liked free food. But I tell you this, you better try and start eating some fresh food. Warm it over. You have two choices. Cook sufficient on Sunday that can last from the Monday, or go down to one of those places and spend $20 per day. Listen, if you spend $20 per day by 5 in lunch, that's $100. By 4, $400 a month. By 12. The point I'm making to you is, if we examine our spending, if we examine these things, I'm saying to us, change has to come about in various ways. And one of the areas that change should come about is what our expenditure. What's our expenditure? Cut out some wastage. Cut out wastage, man. There's so much wastage that we do on a daily basis. Sometimes you've got young children at home that you give them food, they eat half and throw away half. And you have got to cook over again. You think that when we were able growing up, you could throw away half? You had better eat it. As a matter of fact, in those days, there were no lot of refrigerators and all these things. They had to be put in a larder. A lot of people don't know larder, but yes, larder. No cupboards. No cupboards. As a matter of fact, the days were of such that you did not have sufficient to leave back nothing in any case. I remember those days in which my mother would have boiled chocolate and put dumpling in it. Some people know about that. Amen. Children don't know nothing about another soul. That is why I tell you, I have got a wonderful heritage. My belly could be to my back, and you would never know. My mother taught me, it may have been late at time, but my mother taught me, listen, when we go by Sister Mary, you fall here. So I have gone by Sister Mary, and she says to me, are you all right? And God knows I would eat some. But my mother says, you would not eat any. You have to learn how to be hungry. I was taught, whatever little I give to you, be contented with it. Do not. My mother told me, let me go to a place. You think I can look at somebody's face even if I'm smiling? Don't look at nobody's face. What is in this basket is yours. And God help you. As a little boy, somebody got some that smell real sweet. And you really eat some. The boy say you want some. No, I fall. God knows. God knows. So I understand what it means to be a base and how to be a bone. My mother taught me it was scriptures me that have even known that. And I think that we need to go back to the basics. We need to teach our children the basics. Listen, there's nothing wrong if you don't have salmon and all the fancy home. There's nothing wrong. When he was leaving home to come to church this morning, not that he had to do it, I saw my son friend baked. That was his choice. That was his choice. It makes more sense for him to fry his own bake than to go down and buy muffin. Only slightly different, same thing. You think that if you saw my son driving the road now, you could look at him and say, but you have baked this morning? Can't do that. The point I'm making to you is that we have become so posh. We have become so sophisticated that we can't even fry a bake. But we'll go down the road. We will go down the road and feel proud. You know, we go before the cashier and $5 and the same thing we can make it home. Huh? One for $1, $5 for bake. You know how many bakes $5 can give you home? This may sound like a joke, but all I'm saying to you is if we sit down and critically analyze the things we do and make adjustments and can changes to our behavior and our lifestyle, I can assure you that you will have more money in your pocket than you thought you would have had. Cut out the expenditure, cut out the wastage. Cut out the wastage. And I'm sure that, like Paul said, he knew what it meant to be. And the other thing is, there are persons who operated up here and they do not want to operate down here. But learn both. Learn both. I am glad that I grew up in a parish where I understood quite well what it meant to do certain things. I thank God. I know that you did not grow up, let me see. I know most of you grew up living at the mountaintop. Pastor Elcock lived in the valley. He understood what it means to live in both worlds. So like Paul, I know both worlds. And I have absolutely no shame in saying to you, thank God. Because you know what? You know why I thank God? Because I can examine my past. I can look at my future. And thank God I know what my present, what my future will be. Until we get to heaven, there will always be trials and problems and tribulation and difficulties and challenges in life. But until such time, be contented. I am not saying to you, and don't misunderstand me, we must seek to attain different levels in life. Aim for the highest, aim for excellence, but until such time, enjoy what you have now. Does not make sense to me that I want to drive a Mercedes Benz and can't enjoy the car I got now. Don't make sense. Until such time, let me enjoy what I have. Until such time, let me enjoy the little that I have. Until such time, I'm going to bless God at all times. And that's the other thing. When we learn to bless God, when we learn to appreciate God's goodness, I will bless God at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. So if I have only got one year, bless God. Bless Yes, God, little is much when God is in it. We have as Christians not to allow the things that would impact other person to impact us. You don't know whose wings anybody is flying on. I've always said to you that when you see Pastor Elcock with a shirt on there wanting more, and you tell yourself, wait boy, but I might change his shirt very often, that may be true. Mark in the church with a different shirt, you want to know he's spending all money on shirts? That's not true. Somebody give it to me. So I'm saying to you, we don't always know how some person is surviving, how they get through, and if you mind them, you're right in trouble. Keep minding God. That he will be there for you. If you trust God, if you remain contented, if you are satisfied with what you have, God will take care of you. You can rest assured on that. And for a long time, it was resting on my heart. How are we going to cope with the stresses of life? How are we going to cope with the economic situation? How are we going to cope with the things in this whole market? Yes, if you can't buy one tin of corned beef, if you can't buy two, buy one. And if I came to your house and you got corned beef gravy, and Pastor Elcock can't eat some corned beef gravy and breadfruit with you, that is his business. So all I'm saying to you is, you have to manage your situation. And when you are walking the streets, walk with some pep in your step and keep smiling. Because you know what? When you have got a frown on your face, that does not change anything. Don't change nothing. And I believe that as children of God, we have got to be able to internalize. We've got to be able to look deep within the core of our heart. Do I trust God? Do I trust God, or I am only trusting God when things going good? There are persons who can put their hand high, when things are going good. But as soon as things look a little dark, oh Lord, have mercy. Oh Lord, have mercy. Oh Lord, have mercy. But when things going good, no mercy. No mercy. But I want us at Ruby to understand this, that God is a God in good times, God is a God in bad times, God is the God of yesterday, God is the God of tomorrow, and God is the God of the future. If he did it in the past, God is able to do it again. God is still blessing. God is still keeping. God is still sustaining. You just need to know how to live and go for it. When you got, enjoy it. When you don't have, live with what you have. And I tell you, nobody will know if your belly is full or if it's empty. Nobody will know if it's full or if it's empty. That's the way it was brought up. That's the way it was taught. And I believe that if we go back to our basics, and parents, we have not taught our children correctly either. We have spoiled them. Spoiled them. You think that as a child growing up, and my mother had put something before me, like a push-up mouth, you could do that. But you can make sure you may find your mouth someplace else. You understand what it meant that your mother is trying her best to give you out of her little the best she can afford you, and you are telling her foolishness? Listen, I remember as a child growing up, I used to go home, and my mother, you had to take off your clothes and wash them to wear at school the next day. I remember I wore something called dog muzzle. Same shoes that are called by a fancy name now, and sell expensive. That if you don't have a pair of those, you're in the body. But when it was wearing them, it was nobody. But now not to have them, you're still in the body. talking about. I'm not talking something that I'm not talking something that's clinical. I'm not talking that is psychological. I'm speaking facts. And I'm thinking that as parents, we have not taught our children these basic things. We have taught our children that everything they want, they must have, and they get. And when they can't get it, they're in serious trouble. So you know how our parenting skills are questionable. Questionable. We have not taught our children correctly. And we teach our children, I am working for you. I've always told my children, I'm not working for you. I'm working for me. You are the beneficiary. You get some. But you better work for yourself. Working for you. If I'm working for you, you don't need to work. Because I'm working for you. I am working for me. And you will get some. Until such time, find something to do. And you work for you, I work for me. But we taught our children, I'm working for you. So our children say, hey, everybody learn. My mommy working for me. And so therefore, if my mommy is working for me, my mommy should give me what I want because you are working for me. So we have spoiled our children. Do you know how many parents have died and gone on the earth and never even knew where Grantley Adams Airport is? Give the children every cent. Every cent. And they are gone on. Never even got into an airplane. One of the things that the older members of the society do, which was not necessarily always correct, but as soon as you finish school, look for work. Now, and it would be better for them if they had gone and further their education. But because of the economic situation, some parents could not have afforded to send their children any further. But the point I'm making to you is this. Children were always told, you must go and find some work. Find work to do. So we better get back to those old paths. Better get back to those old paths. Because I tell you this, life is not going to become any easier. Life is going to become more challenging. And if we don't prepare our young people for the days ahead of them, God help them. God help them. We may have lost several generations. And I believe the church has a responsibility. I have a responsibility. You see, because all we usually do is preach salvation, 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 come to the order. Nothing wrong with that. But I think we need to come to a place in our life where we understand that we are also social beings. Everybody must be taught correctly. Not taught just one thing. We must be taught correctly. The various disciplines of life. We have got to sensitize our people that there's a lot more. There's a lot more to life than we think. And if we are not adequately prepared for these things, we are going to be depressed, suicidal, bipolar, anxiety. All of these things are going to impact us because we never understood the value of life and how to make the various adjustments as life changes. I pray this morning that we at Ruby and those on space wherever this service is being broadcast would, yes, we trust God. Yes, we praise God. Yes, we magnify God. But God expects us to be wise. James says, if a man lack wisdom, ask God. And God will give you abundantly. God gives you abundantly. If you don't know how to deal with such situations, God, how to do it. Lord, I've got $10 in my hand. How to spend this? How to spend this? And trust me, God is able to do abundantly more than we can even think, ask, or desire. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God that giveth to all men liberally, not sparingly, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. So if you lack wisdom and understanding, and you can't cope with the stresses of life, ask God to direct you, even in your expenditure. Should I cut here? Should I spend there? Should I buy this? Should I not buy this? And God will give you sufficient wisdom and understanding to do what is necessary so that you are able to float and not sink. God can do it for us. He's done it in the past. He's doing it again. God is able. And I trust this morning that as we don't find ourselves sinking, but we will float, because we will take some adjustments, change some attitudes, change some behavior, change a lot of things about us, so that we will be able to smile other than frown. And you will see that a lot of stress that we carry, a lot of burden that we carry unnecessarily, they're gone. They're gone. You know why? Change. Change your attitude. Change your behavior. Change your mindset. And I guarantee you that your mind will be more at ease. Thank you. This was not a message intended for altar. This was a message intended to help to shape our thinking. Bring us to a place, God, where we can live a more excited, a more successful life. This was intended to cause us to think so that the pressures of life that we carry right now unnecessarily, they will be dealt with. And I believe, God, that persons like myself need to be a bit open. Let the congregation know that once they're Christian, they will suffer depression and anxiety and all the various illnesses if they do not change their mindset and their behavior. Father, I bless you. And let Paul help us to understand what it means to abase and how it means to be abound, so that we can live in both worlds, so that neither of these two worlds will rock us, but we will stand firm on you. We thank you this morning, God. We bless your name. In Jesus' name.